What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. Well, are we in the end game? Is this it for the writer's strike? The last moments, the final countdown for the writer's strike, the WGA strike that's been going on for almost 5 months. Are we coming to a close of this labor negotiation? You can see on this headline by deadline, the WGA is reviewing the deal that studios call their best and final offer. Now, there's always a caveat with this because this strike has never been anything but straightforward, all right? So this, update you can see took place at about 6:02 p.m. This is Pacific Standard Time. But then at 7:52, all right, less than 2 hours later, here's what we got. The WGA and the studio set a Sunday meeting with the deal not finalized yet. Now, that could just be a meeting saying, hey, let's get together. Let's have this big production. We're going to come out. Everybody's holding hands, singing Kumbaya together as we meet the press and discuss the deal. Maybe that's what it's going to be, because they feel like, they've ironed out all of the sticky points, and let's just meet together one more time just to make sure there's no issues, no complaints. And let's go ahead and get this thing signed and get back to business, Of course, they won't be able to get right back to business because they still got the actors hanging around, and they still got to deal with the actors, which in my opinion, they should be able to wrap that up really quickly. But you never know how that's going to go, right? You never know what's going to happen. So maybe they get back to work, maybe they don't. And look, I think that the studios right now, they're probably at the point where it's like, look, they either going to accept this deal or they're not. And we're going to start making our plan B plans. Let's get a plan B going just in case they don't accept any deal, because there's always a possibility that the membership won't accept whatever it is that the WGA agrees to. The negotiating committee says, yeah, we think this is a fine deal. Let's go ahead and sign it. They still got to send it to the membership. If the members come back and reject the deal, then it's back to square one, And I think that the studios are probably like, look, if they don't accept this deal, then we're just going to have to make other arrangements, We're going to have to figure some things out. Some studios are already in the process, at least in my view, of doing that. Now, you can see this article on CNN Business. Warner Brothers to expand UK studios where Barbie and Harry Potter were filmed, all right? So you might think, well, that's no big deal. Studio expansions happen all the time. Yeah, that's true. But in the midst of a strike, they're going to expand studios in another country where they ain't got to deal with all of this nonsense. They ain't expanding nothing in America. They expanding it in another country. And so they might be saying, you know what? We'll deal with these guys over here before we deal with the ones that we got in our own backyard. Like, read this real quick. Yeah, Warner Brothers Discovery has announced plans for a major expansion of the UK studios where Barbie, its biggest movie of all time, was filmed. The expansion will increase the production capacity at the studios in the, Levisden area on the outskirts of London by more than 50%. This investment is expected to create 4,000 direct and indirect jobs across the United Kingdom, the company said Friday. The site will be the main production hub for DC Studios franchise once the expansion is completed in 2027, it said in the statement. So look, this thing is coming in 2027. And remember, these WGA union deals, with the studios, those are on a 3-year cycle. So, all right, they get to this thing, they say, look, we got this next 3 years. If by 2026, if these cats is coming back here and we're trying to negotiate something, they're asking for more, or they're doing this, that, and the third, hey, in 2027, the next year, we all set in the UK. We don't have to worry about these cats no more. And see, that's the problem. Once you start pushing the envelope too hard, then, the studios do have other options. It's not like, gee, I guess our hands are tied. We're just going to have to bow down to whatever the writers and the actors say. And no, we'll just go across the, the ocean, the other side of the pond, and we'll just start setting up shop in other spots. And Disney has studios in the UK, right? Lucasfilm does a lot of stuff in the UK. I think that's where Andor filmed its series. So yeah, I'm not saying that that's what they should do, but that's an option. So you have to learn again about leverage. It's like, these guys can always just pack up and move, if we don't accept the deal. And make things hard for them to do business. California is already a very, very expensive place to do business as it is. And these guys and these, writers and actors and directors, they're just making it even more expensive. You see all the labor nonsense that's going on right now. You got the VFX workers are going into unions. They're going to be probably going on a strike pretty soon. You got IATSE and the Teamsters next year. They're setting up, getting ready for their strike. Like, how hard would it be just to say, you know what? Let's just move overseas and set up shop over there. And yeah, they got unions and stuff all over there or whatever and stuff, but they might be more agreeable, since we're the new kids on the block. We're adding more production, we're expanding our production by 50%, so that might say, hey, we're expanding things. What do you guys think? And again, that might make things a lot easier for them to do business than versus fighting it out with the Hollywood types in the, expensive LA. LA is hella expensive. I should know. But yeah, let's see what the deal itself is looking like for the WGA. So it says, with deliberations starting around 10 a.m. as Ellen Stutzman led the WGA negotiating committee and the AMPTP's Carol Lombardini on the other side of the table, today was always going to be about final details, sources say. To that end, lawyers took center stage for the most part to translate their employers' deal points into formal language. The intention was always to wrap this up by the weekend, an insider tells us. That was the desire on both sides of the table. It looks like a tentative agreement could be finalized before the end of the day if the WGA lawyers sign off on what their AMPTP counterparts hand over, therefore not seeping over into the Yom Kippur holiday. And once the language of the WGA deal is done and the contract is ratified by the membership, the next step for the AMPTP is to make a deal with SAG-AFTRA, which will definitely have its own set of challenges. Yeah, so they got to move on to the actors, all right? The actors have been kept closely appraised by their fellow guild of the machinations of the back and forth between the WGA and the AMPTP over the last 96 hours, we're told. Yeah, so they've been passing notes saying, yeah, here's what we were able to talk to them about. Here's how we got them to bend on this and that. You guys might want to use that same strategy. I'm sure, once again, one of these guys falls, the other ones are going to be more agreeable because Hollywood wants to get back to work. All right, Hollywood wants to get back to work. There's no question at all about that. Now, of course, you know what we got to do next. We got to check out the comment section in the deadline because this one is going to be lit. Best final offer. Sounds like fighting language. Yeah, people don't like this phrasing, okay? A lot of these cats do not like this phrasing of best final offer. But again, if you guys don't accept the offer, there's options. You think these studios don't have any other options? They just going to have to come back to you guys? They'll leave that deal sitting there on the table and they'll go overseas and start making content. They'll start producing films over there. The AMPTP hired the PR firm for a reason. I'll bet that just gave the WGA an offer with big concessions, but nothing on things like AI that will allow them to cut writers out completely in a matter of years. Yeah, I think if AI keeps progressing in the direction that it's progressing, the writers are probably going to be, on the outside looking in on a serious note. Because again, all you got to do is just take like your top 25, 35% of writers, all right, and give these guys the AI tools so that they can just crank things out a lot faster. Like building out the first draft so you can just have like a skeleton of a script that you could just start working off of and you can just go to town with that. You don't need to have all these other dudes sitting behind you, learning, looking over your shoulder or whatever, like the top-notch writers. They'll just go out there and just start cranking out scripts, They'll just crank out here you go. I just finished another script this week, and they'll just bang these things out. And I think in about 3 years, when this deal is over, all right, whatever deal they're working on in about 3 years, when this deal is over and it's time to renew another deal, yeah, whatever AI protections they don't get, they're not going to get anything else. If they haven't ironed AI out in this one, they're not going to get anything else. But even with that, I think they're just going to kind of just shove all of these cats to the side. They're not going to need this many writers. Bob Iger has already talked about cutting back, okay? Cutting back on the amount of content that they're making. Yeah, once again, you guys remember I keep bringing this article up for like the one data point that it talks about, all right, where streaming broke Hollywood. And it was all about these 599 series that were available last year. And I said, there's no way that's sustainable. They're going to cut back. They're probably going to try to cut this in half. And so all of the writers that were working on all of these 509 lines, let's call it 600, for these 600 television series that produced in 2022, and all the writers that were working on this stuff, half of those guys are going to be looking for work. They're going to cut this in half. This is not sustainable. And so they're going to get AI to help out with some of the writing. Maybe they won't cut it in half. Maybe they'll cut it down to like 400. But they're going to cut a significant amount of this stuff out. They've been talking about that. Bob Iger already said, we're going to peel back on all of the Marvel and the Star Wars content that we've been producing. We're going to peel back on that. We can't keep doing that. That is not a sustainable way of doing business. So they got to get more quality, less quantity. And I'm pretty sure that goes across the board for all of these studios because everybody's not making money. You know, Netflix is like the only one that's making any kind of money. And I think even Netflix is going to pull back. Like, why are we cranking out all of this stuff for? It doesn't make sense, you know? So yeah, when you go back to this, yeah, AI will absolutely be cutting writers out of the picture in a couple of years, you know, maybe by the next negotiation period. You know, when the WGA says no, they'll go on a media blitz touting the good, ignoring the untenable, and hoping to cause revolt among the writers. Or maybe they actually just made a fair deal, which I guess this is supposed to be would you bet on. Yeah, we're picketing through the end of the year. I would love to see a deal this weekend, but there's just no way. It's cute to watch people have hope, though. I remember when I used to do that, then I became an adult. I mean, there's some black pilling going on in here for sure with the writers. I don't necessarily think that you got to just completely give up hope. It makes sense for the WGA. Hey, let's just take a deal and get guys back to work, even if the deal isn't the best deal that they could possibly make, because people are living out of cars, people are hungry, people are tired of dipping into their 401ks and into their savings accounts, you know, to be able to pay the bills. Best and final time I have to read these unhinged comments. Hopefully everyone has lost their minds. I love the deadline comments, man. This has been a lot of fun for me anyway. After all this time, the AMPTP still doesn't get the leverage lies with those who actually create the thing that's sold. Really? When will the writers realize that those with the bank accounts hold the proverbial leverage? Yeah, the writers never had leverage. I don't care if they actually do create this stuff, okay? They could create this stuff, there's no question about it. But again, how valuable is your creation to the overall pot? Again, the studios could easily just be like, we're just going to go out there and deal with individual writers. We don't need to deal with these union of all these writers. We don't need to deal with these guys. We deal with it because that's just kind of the way business has been done in Hollywood. But in my opinion, the moment that the studios say, you know what, we're done with unions, the unions are gone. They could just say, hey, we're not dealing with unions anymore. If you're an individual writer, and if you want to come and make a deal with us, break from the WGA and give us a call. I mean, it sounds that easy to me. Maybe there's more complications to it than that. But in my opinion, if the studios just said we're not dealing with the unions anymore, what could the union do? Oh, we got all these writers that are standing in solidarity. Okay, but what if they just went to individual non-union people or even the union? Hey, break the union, get out of the union and come talk to us. You know, we got a deal on the table we want to make with a lot of other you writers. We know you personally. Come talk to us. Get out of the union. But I got to stand in solidarity. All right, man, be broke. But there will be plenty of people. There's more writers out there in the world than that are in the WGA. All right. So, I mean, to me, it's just always been like a no-brainer. Just, you know, but it is what it is. Do not make a deal, studios. If the writers try to negotiate, let's get them out of their houses. They're scared. They'll all turn on each other if a deal isn't made right now, and they'll blame their committee. Studio is going to win this thing. There's a lot of funny people in these comments, man. I swear to God. If you go through the deadline comments, man, there is tons of entertainment there. Tons. How is it appropriate in this scenario to throw out the best and final, I guess, card? Best and final or what? No human being ever writes a script in Hollywood again? This is absolute nonsense. I can't believe Deadline would throw that in a headline. Bad faith garbage. Well, again, it's real easy. If the studios really wanted to put an end to the unions, they could. They say, hey, here's the deal, make it or get out. And then we're just going to start dealing on the outside. It's not out of the realm of possibility for something like that to happen, you know? I'm guessing the best and final offer didn't have the staff minimums. Is the WGA really going to die on this hill? We all knew the studio would never agree to that. Yeah, I think that this was the thing they had to give up. You know, the first thing, the staff minimums, okay? You know, saying, we got to have a writer's room of 10 people or whatever the crap it was. And I thought they just had to get that up. You know, studios didn't want it. There were some showrunners that was like, we didn't ask for this. You know, we didn't ask for a staff minimum of, 6, 7, 8 writers. And honestly, that's the reason why the WGA is going for that, is because the bulk of their writers are people that are only going to get hired if there's a minimum hiring requirement. Like, oh, we need 10. Well, we really need 4. Yeah, but you got to have 10, because we got it in the contract. See, there it go right there. So it's like, crap, we got to hire 6 more writers for what? And so because of that extra 6 writers, that's who the WGA did this for. So those people are the ones that are going to keep putting those chumps in office and keep voting them guys in, because they're offering them, oh, yeah, look what we got you guys. You guys wouldn't have jobs if it wasn't for us. You know, you would be out there scrambling around. But they're also probably the most unneeded writers that are going to end up getting replaced by AI down the line. Sad panda DGA. There's so much teasing. This DGA member has been waiting 3 months to find out just how bad our deal is. Do I need to buy more alcohol to drown my sorrows with or not? Hey, the directors made their deal and they just said, let's get back to work. All right. So, you know, the artist said, hey, look, we're the artists in this joint. All right. It's our films. We're the ones making the films. Let's just make sure we have a deal so that we can be ready to go and start working. Maybe it's not going to be the best deal in the world, but, you know, it's something. And they were able to just stay on the job. I actually commend them for getting the deal done quickly instead of just putting all of these other people through all of this turmoil. You know, it's really like the behind the scene guys, you know, that you feel for in this situation. Drip feed, wake me when it's over. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be over in a couple of days. That's what it looks like. Ellen Stutzman, David Goodman, and Chris Kaiser are all responsible for this miss and need to quit the hardball tactics and accept a fair deal. I mean, we'll find out tomorrow, you know. It's Saturday night. We'll find out Sunday morning what's going on, if they accepted the deal, you know, or some point on Sunday. If they accepted the deal, if they're coming out singing Kumbaya, saying, yay, we did it, you know. But then it goes to the writers' membership, and we'll see what happens with that. It's going to be a process. It's not over tomorrow by any shot. But we'll see what happens. You guys let me know what you think. Jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and opinions on that. And thanks for watching. See you next time.